everyone. I just wanted to do this one short, very casual video, just talking about the importance of failed experiments. And you might think that's strange. When I was in my master's program, I actually did a whole presentation on failure and how it's important to talk about failure and to admit our failures and also to use it as a tool in art. That's a little bit more complex subject than I'm going to go into today, but all I want to talk about today is just the amount of experimentation that it takes to get to actually working with an idea in a successful way. And I also wanted to show you some of the projects that I've been doing whenever I have a free moment, because I'm lucky enough to actually be working in my studio right now, which I'll do another video showing you my studio. I share it with some other artists. But when I have a free moment away from my emails, I've been trying to do some experiments along with you, because I know you guys are all experimenting with different materials. So I just wanted to show you some of those things and show you that I am failing at a lot of different experiments right now too. So I'm just going to show them to you. So the idea that I had, because we're thinking about materials that we have around us and not going out and buying anything, I actually really like the look of rusted steel. So I was thinking about things that I could make out of rusted steel. And so I was thinking about basically just using recycled cans to work with as a way of using metal if you don't have access to silver or copper. And so I actually got kind of excited. I was like, okay, I can use these. I can fold form them. I can dome them and use some chemicals to create a rust look. And I actually kind of liked the idea of making jewelry out of it. But as you'll see, they looked really crappy once I started doing them, and I abandoned it, but it led to something else. So the things that I tried, I tried doming, which I don't have a really big doming block in my workshop because it's actually fairly minimal. I was trying whatever I could find. This is the lid for my oxygen tank. I was trying to use that for doming, but as you can see, it didn't work all that well. Chucked that aside. I wanted to do some, you guys in second year have probably seen some of this. It's when you take a straight piece of metal like this and hammer along this edge, and it stretches it and it can curve it. So I took thin pieces of tin cans and cut strips out of them, folded it in half and hammered it along this edge, and I thought I might make some earrings out of it. This is you need to know metal pretty well to do this, so it's a, kind of a skilled thing. But in the end, I just thought they kind of looked ugly and flimsy, and I didn't really want to use them for anything. I also had a bottle of a solution that I had made a few years ago for rusting steel. I think it was a combination of it was probably vinegar and salt and stuff like that. I'd have to look up the recipe again, but I used that to try and rust it. And I really wasn't happy with how it rusted, and I think probably because I didn't remove enough of the coating on the tin can, it didn't rust to a deep level like I thought it would. So that was crappy too. I checked that aside. And then I had an idea, the same thing. I wanted to use, I have a frame for putting, it's a belt buckle frame I bought finding. And I had an idea that I was going to put rusted corrugated steel in that and cut out a piece of tin can, but it ended up, because it's so thin, I had a hard time flattening it in a way that I really liked the look of for putting in here. I was going to put some rivets. Again, I just kind of discarded this idea. I wasn't really that interested in it in the end. Then what did I do? Because I wasn't into those, I also sometimes, like I have this book here, it's Victorian jewelry. And I love the drawings that are in here. A lot of them are kind of from old catalogs with jewelry. And so I've always wanted to do something really fancy like that, but do it in steel and use a chemical to rust it. It's an idea that I've been kind of working on for a long time. It's been in the back of my mind and I work on it every now and then. I kind of think it's fun to use tracing paper to trace some of the shapes that I see there. This isn't showing up that well on the screen, but I did some tracing of some patterns on there thinking that I might use those. That was at the end of the day after I'd done all my emailing. I kind of went home feeling a little bit frustrated because, oh, and there was one more thing, one more thing. I made this along with the first years because Dominique was doing that project, a project a day, and I thought, oh, I'll do spring because I found this silk flower in the alley, cleaned it up, stuck it in this piece of bone, which I've collected all kinds of bones and stuff because I think I may do something with them someday. Made that into a brooch. It's kind of cool, but I also wasn't really that happy with it. Not that into it. Okay, and that's probably why I didn't post it, even though I claimed to the first year class it was because I didn't have time, but I just was not inspired, so I didn't post it on the forums. Okay, so that was stuff that I tried in one day. That, like I said, I went home feeling really frustrated and feeling just, you know, whatever. I spent a bit of time on it. Wasn't that exciting. So, but then the next morning, I actually woke up with kind of a cool idea. And that was something else that I started experimenting with. As some of you know, I have a bunch of plexiglass in my workshop. I really like the idea of drilling into it and sort of inlaying some brass wire inside this clear plexiglass. So I actually did get a bit excited about this idea and tried some things out. It hasn't worked out yet because I was hoping that the gold of the the gold of the brass would show through really nicely, but the way it works with the glue, it just looks a bit cloudy. But at the same time, I'm kind of interested in this idea, and I've tried some experiments with it. I'm more interested in it than I am in the other ideas that I was working on. And so my point with that is that often if you're working on something and it's not going anywhere and it's not doing what you want it to do, I think actually that act and that process of working on something and trying something out, I think it starts sort of a process in your brain that I actually think can really open your mind up to new ideas. And it really has happened to me countless times that I'll be working in my workshop on something, it's not going anywhere, and then really I'll wake up with an idea and it'll actually work. So I'm gonna stop this video now because I want to make another one where I do some screen sharing, and I'll show you some examples, other examples of things that have worked. Okay, thanks. I'll see you in the next video.